week's episode of Dragon Ball Super, the Saiyans from Universe 7 and 6 go to war as Vegeta does battle with Cabba. It seems like every other episode of Dragon Ball Super is managing to one-up itself in the animation department and in the action scenes. The battle between Vegeta and Cabba does not disappoint, my friends. It's action-packed, it's exciting, and it's a glorified martial arts training segment. What I mean by that is in this week's episode, Vegeta has no intention of losing to Cabba, a Saiyan from Universe 6 who apparently does not have the ability to transform into a Super Saiyan. That is until Vegeta pushes him to his very limits, and he does so by threatening Cabba by telling him that if he doesn't fight back and get angry, he's going to destroy his planet in one massive ki blast. This is a really interesting element to this episode, because I always figured that Cabba was going to have something secret hidden, that he was somewhat lying about the fact that his Saiyan race from Universe 6 did not have the ability to transform, and I even thought by looking at the preview for this week's episode, he might even have something else up his sleeve. But no, his Super Saiyan abilities are manifested in the fight against Vegeta. Like I said, Vegeta just rocks the house against Cabba in the first half of the fight, but when he threatens to destroy his planet, Cabba gets so pissed that he explodes into his Super Saiyan form. Cabba's transformation into a Super Saiyan is incredibly satisfying. You can tell that he's really attained a power that he's never felt before. I especially love his initial power-up, where all of this energy just explodes from his back, and he uses that as momentum to fly towards Vegeta and hit him at point-blank range, which has this huge shockwave of ki explode out of Vegeta's back, followed by a shockwave and a lot of electricity. Probably my favorite scene from the entire episode, but Cabba continues the attack with a flurry of punches, getting Vegeta in the air and then slamming him right back down into the arena. It is so damn satisfying, but again, Vegeta is just doing this to draw out his Latin abilities and to use this as an excuse to see how powerful he really is himself. So he takes a lot of damage from Cabba, a lot of ki blasts, and even a punch directly to his incredibly large forehead. That is when suddenly he decides to go Super Saiyan Blue, reassuring Cabba that one day he might even be able to attain this form, and he finishes him off in one punch, which has barely any impact behind it, but it's so fast that it's amazing. He basically is just standing right next to him, his fist looked like it barely touched him, and then there was just this explosion out of his back. He immediately goes back to his regular state form and is knocked out and caught by Vegeta. This was a glorified training session. Vegeta was trying to teach the Saiyans of Universe 6 how to attain the Super Saiyan form, and this will allow them to be better warriors of justice. This was one of the coolest things Vegeta has ever done, and this was one of the coolest fights from Dragon Ball Super, and it's only gonna get cooler from here, because next week is Vegeta versus Hito! So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super? Man, the battle between Vegeta and Cabba was pretty damn awesome. It seems like all the best episodes of Dragon Ball Super have revolved around the character of Vegeta, and it makes sense. He's actually had a lot of development in this show. The Vegeta that we see now in Dragon Ball Super is so incredibly different than the one that we saw at the beginning of the series, and when he was introduced in Dragon Ball Z. I like to compare his characterization to Piccolo, except that it was a much slower burn. It didn't take too long for Piccolo to finally start becoming buddy-buddy with Goku and Gohan and Krillin and the entire gang, but Vegeta had to stick up his ass through pretty much the entire Dragon Ball Z series, and it wasn't until the very end of the Majin Buu arc that he finally started to change. That, combined with his training that he's done with Beerus, has really given Vegeta a new sense of humility, and that's made him a much more interesting character, and it's also just made him even more badass than he already is. And then there's the character of Cabba, who is just an immensely interesting character, mostly because he's so different than the Saiyans from Universe 7. His overall design does have some similarities to it, like the hair and everything is there, the shapes and angles of his face, but he's a lot thinner, a lot quicker, and the way he fights is a little different. I also just loved all the little bits of choreography in this episode, whether it just be the punches or the look of his big powered up punches, the way they used the camera to make his arm rear all the way back and then fly forward. That looked really awesome and added a lot of impact to all of the hits in this week's episode, which I think really made this one a more unique one amongst the other episodes of Dragon Ball Super. And even though it's definitely definitely not on the same caliber of animation. Whenever Cabba would do those big, like, powered-up punches, it totally reminded me of Saitama, like, every single time. And I just loved it in this episode. It was absolutely fantastic. And I'm so hyped for the next one, especially with Hito coming in. If you look at the preview, you can definitely see that Hito is going to be pushing Vegeta to his limits. He is going to be using Super Saiyan Blue against him, and he's basically still doing the same thing that he did against Frost, where his arms are just crossed. He's using some crazy psychic move with all of these ki blasts exploding from Vegeta's body. I don't think Vegeta's going to be able to take this guy on, which also means right after that we're going to have Goku versus Hito, and maybe eventually we'll even get to Monaka versus Hito. I still can't wait to see what they're going to do with Monaka in this series, if he really is a weakling, or if he's really powerful, or there's something just completely hidden about his character. There might even be a whole nother twist to this arc entirely, especially with the character of Hito. Just the fact that he is a hitman leads me to believe if there is like another secret to this arc, maybe he is here to actually perform a job. Maybe he was hired by Champa to take out Beerus. Is he powerful enough to do that? I'm not so sure. I've yet to see anything in the series that could go up against the God of Destruction. Not to mention, there's Whis and Vados as well, who the hell knows what they are? They might as well just be the gods of their respective universes, considering how powerful they are and all the crazy things that they can do. What I will say is this was an exciting, action-packed, fun episode that was really surprising. I honestly thought maybe they were going to do another twist, making Cabba evil or something, kind of like what they did with Frost, but no, his personality stuck, and I thought it was really cool how Vegeta was able to train him into using his Super Saiyan abilities. So, exciting episode of Dragon Ball Super, really action-packed with some great scenes. I'm going to give this one right here a 5 out of 5. Another really enjoyable episode of Dragon Ball Super. This anime series is getting better by the week, and I can't wait to see what it's going to offer us in the battle with Vegeta and Hito. You heard my thoughts about this episode, but I want to hear from you guys. What did you think about the battle between Vegeta and Cabba? Did you have a favorite scene from the battle? Did you not really like this episode that much? What do you want to see in the battle between Vegeta and Hito and the rest of the Dragon Ball Super anime series? Please tell me in the comment section below. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching this review. I really appreciate it. If you would like to, please share this with all your friends and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be able to see all of our latest anime and manga reviews as they are released. You guys can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. All of that stuff will be in the description box below. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.